So it was in lockdown during COVID-19. We finally had the time to start making a film. We'd always wanted to make a film, but we never found the time. So we started writing in lockdown, and these ideas just started coming to us. And then we started talking to veterans, because we wanted to, essentially the idea was we wanted to create a film that talked about mental health and PTSD, shone a spotlight on it, but we wanted to do it in a way that kind of hadn't been done before. So we thought, we're going to make an action film, we're going to hit people with the action, but also there's a deeper story here. And then on top of that, we cast Royal Marines in the roles. So it's, we've got Royal Marines behind the camera former Royal Marines behind the camera and former Royal Marines in front of the camera. So that became our kind of our thing, and I think it's worked really well. It's a great action film, and I think we've got that kind of deeper meaning.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, exactly as James said there. So it all started in lockdown, and we just kind of wanted to. We'd done a lot of like commercial stuff. We'd made films for the military and things like that before, and we wanted to take it a step further and do something narrative, do something that had an emotional impact, hopefully. And we just started writing and coming up with ideas, and then it kind of just took off from there. We started off thinking we were quite ambitious. We were going to do a mini-series, and then somehow we ended up making a feature film. So yeah, it was a hell of a journey. We went from, as James said, we got in touch with the actors, the former Royal Marines. So we specifically wanted to find people that had military experience, and in particular with our background in the Marines as well, we had a bit of a network there already. But we can't just pick any Royal Marine off the street and put them in front of a camera, because it'd just be carnage, to be quite honest. So we managed to find some guys that had actually transitioned from the Royal Marines into acting, and it just so happened that we had this great bunch of guys that really fit the roles. We shaped some of the roles around their characters actually and who they are, and we wanted to get a bit of a broad brush. A bit of every Royal Marine that you'd find in a troop within those characters. So you've got the guy who's always got the dark humour. You've got the more sensible one. You've got the leader kind of character, and so that's how we did that. And it just so happened that we also had some personal connections with some of those guys as well, and we didn't know about them and what they were doing outside. So when we got in touch with them and said, "Oh, we want to make a film," they were well up for it.
I think it was really important because it's given the film like a lot more authenticity, like having those kind of people behind the camera, in front of the camera, because of the story we're trying to tell. To cast civilian actors may not have worked as well, because so the former Royal Marines that we've got can draw from emotions and things that they've experienced at their time in the military, but then also during the action sequences and stuff, they know how to handle weapons, they know the drills. So that made it really easy in the production process as well. Yeah,
given our time and budget, we would not have had time to train the actors if they didn't have the experience already, or also teach them like how to take down a building or react in a certain firefight situation. We didn't have enough rehearsal days to do that. So it's great to be able to get the guys on set and just go, right guys, we're going to do this today, and they all know exactly what their job is, and then all we have to do is then tweak it to make it a little bit more like cinematic, make sure that the camera's in the right place. It saved us a lot of work, I suppose, trying to get them to do the action how we need it, which let us focus on the creative side of it.
Yeah, I think having former Royal Marines, starring in it, like we just said, made it all so much easier. But we also had even more specialist people on board. So we had a stunt coordinator, professional stunt coordinator who's worked on some big films, who's also a former Royal Marine. So he helped choreograph some of the fight scenes. We also had a few lads. I'm not sure if I can say this. Can we say it?
We can't use names, but should. Yeah, we had some guys helping us out from certain organisations that were just keep an eye on our skills and drills, making sure that everything was up to date, because they're very up to date, and also making sure we're not encroaching on anything that can't be talked about, because obviously there's always an element of, and we get this in the military filmmaking stuff, is that we don't want to show too much real stuff, because obviously giving the game away a little bit. So but we also wanted to make sure it was authentic and up to date. So we had a couple of guys down to help us make sure that was the case.
And I think it's quite ambitious for us because we're first time feature filmmakers, so some of the fight scenes, I think they turned out really well, to be honest. I'm really happy with them. Especially we've got one near the middle of the film, which is like a continuous one shot. I think it's about 3 or 4 minutes long, and it's just it's in a quarry, and it's just like non-stop action, cameras constantly moving, and that took. We tried to do it once, and the whole day absolutely crumbled because we had a problem with some of the hardware that we're using. So the pterodactyl broke basically, but so we had to can the whole day. It was like we had 20-30 people on set, so that was like a big loss for us. So we had to reshoot that. But that was a really fun day. We had so many people. We had this big quarry, and it was just this singular, 3 or 4 minute one shot. So we've got some good action scenes. So we're really happy with how they've turned out.
Yeah, I think that scene in particular is quite interesting because that was actually one of the few action scenes we had where we had a completely civilian cast that were professional actors, but didn't have quite the amount of sort of action experience. So we were sort of bringing them through. So that was good for us as directors to then have to manage that as well. And I mean, they did brilliantly. But it was good because, for example, the guys that we did have some former military guys there with the weapons, but we also had some, again, civilian actors there, and they didn't have to look the business because they were the bad guys. So they can be a little bit more rough and ready. But the action scenes were really fun. We've always said that one of the it's great having military guys there because they can, like we've said already, they know where they've got to be, they know what they've got to do. But there's also an element of, especially with urban warfare, which quite a few of these scenes are, is like everyone has a different way to take down a building or clear a room, depending on the room, because it's all very much based on what we call initiative-based tactics. So every room is different, every situation is different, and you have to react on the ground to that situation. The problem is we're making a film and you go to say to the guys, like, right, we're going to take down this room, and it suddenly becomes a bit of a conversation about, how do I do that in real life? And every now and then we have to reel it back in and say, guys, like we just need you to do it in this way. It's still realistic, but they might be saying, well, what if there's a threat from there? Like, well, we've not got enough people to cover every threat. So it was very interesting. It became a bit of a discussion, and we had to try and tighten it up a little bit because we didn't have time to have those long discussions about how you'd take down a building and do a full-on rehearsal of everything. We did rehearse things, but not the same way you would for a real operation. Really. Yeah,
I think I just add on the action part as well. Like, it is an action film, and if you like action, you're going to love this film. But don't get me wrong. Also, there's a deeper story to Sunray. So this isn't a kind of dumb Hollywood action shooter. We've got some great action set pieces, but also there is a very deep underlying story that I think a lot of people will be able to relate to and get something out of. So, yeah.
There was a lot of challenges, especially, as James said, it's our first time making a feature. So dealing with the budget and the logistics, the timing, getting everyone there. We come from camera background, DPing and things, so we're like, we just want to make it look really good and have a really good story and things like that. But then we also, because of we didn't have a massive crew, we also had to take a big part in making sure those logistics were working out. And don't get me wrong, we had a great crew that helped with that as well. It wasn't just us, but getting involved in that and having to deal with all that was probably like the biggest challenge in terms of things we hadn't faced before. And I think sometimes it was also some of the scenes we'd scheduled around dusk, golden hour, trying to make it look nice, and it was just a nightmare, wasn't it? Especially, in fact, one of them was that one shot scene, and both times we shot it, we kind of ran over a little bit, so we're losing the light and we're chasing the light and kind of racing it a little bit to make sure we get it in the can before it goes too dark. And thankfully we managed to pull it off, but that was definitely an obstacle that we hadn't really faced before.
Yeah, I think we made it challenging for ourselves because we were so ambitious with it. I think the scale of the film for the budget of the film is quite big. We kind of it spiraled out of control a bit when we were writing it, and I think when you watch it you'll see that, and I think it's such a better film for it. Could it have been scaled back a bit? Yeah, maybe, but also I think there's so many variations of locations and different things happening all over the place. It kind of really brings it to life and makes it feel like a real world, like these things are happening. So whereas if we'd contained it to a smaller, area, it would have been a lot easier to make, but maybe it wouldn't have been as interesting and as kind of epic as it is. But then in general, just like Dan said, being at our first time, we were just learning every step of the way, which has been really, really rewarding. So we've taken so much from this project, and we're proud of it, aren't we?
Yeah. I think like when we wrote it, we said like, let's just write without a budget in mind, which is dangerous in the first place, and then we'll scale it back once we know what the story is. I think we just forgot to scale it back. Just cracked on.
Yeah, what we did for the budget is, I think, really good.
Yeah,
we're really happy with it. It's amazing to be here, honestly. Having the opportunity to premiere at the Edinburgh International Film Festival has been absolutely fantastic, and the reception we've received and that everyone we've spoken to is, having a great time and really enjoyed the film, and it's just absolute pleasure to be here, especially in the Cameo Cinema. It's such a great venue, and it's been fantastic.
Yeah, James pretty much took all the words there, but echoing what he said, absolutely excellent being here at Edinburgh Film Festival, showcasing it here for the premiere. I mean, some of the other films we've seen playing at the festival look amazing, and just to be alongside them is great, and it's such a beautiful city as well. It gets us the chance to come up here and experience it, and there's such a hum and a buzz around Edinburgh around this time of year, and to be part of that is brilliant.
And I just want to say as well, like, thank you to everyone that's been a part of the film and everyone that's supported the film along the way, because it's been a long few years with a lot of work, and there's been so many amazing people that have either just supported us along the way or had a massive contribution to the film, and then also to the festival organisers for giving us this opportunity. Thank you to everyone that's made it happen. So.
Yeah, thank you everyone. Yeah.